Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Kenny's channel for Collectorholics and the first video of 2019. I know I've been a bit conspicuous by my absence so far this year, but what with Christmas and birthdays and other distractions, it's the first chance I've had. But this is the first of 3 videos I've got lined up, so hopefully within the next week or two, so I should be around a little bit more with some more collecting stuff. Okay, today I'm going to do another in the in my top 10 of everything series. It's something that was requested when I first started by a few people when I first started doing this series. Video games, people would be interested to know what your top 10 is of video games. Now, I must admit I've been putting this one off because in some ways it's a very hard one to do, because I've been at this nearly 36 years now, and back in 1983 I was 35 years of age when I started gaming, and you kind of get a different perspective on things at an older age. I mean, now kids are into 8, 9, 10 years of age, and by 35 you're a veteran. But I came to it with fresh eyes as an adult, and of course fashions have changed over the years. The things that I thought were great way back in the early 80s are looked upon with disdain now because of the graphics, and the shortness of some of the games. But basically back then, 90% of games were ports of arcade games. You would see in the video arcade stuff like Pac-Man, Galaga, Space Invaders. There was hundreds of different versions of these popular arcade games, and I loved them. But of course now everybody's become far more discerning, with the price of games as they are. If the game's not 20 hours, or in some cases of RPGs 40 hours plus, then nobody's happy. But so I can come at it from 2 angles, because I've seen both sides of the of gaming fashion, if you like. Anyway, enough jaw. Let's get straight into it. Now, I've picked out 10, and as is usual with this series, I've got a couple of honourable mentions, so I'll leave those to the end. But I'm going to start with a genre that's very dear to my heart. It's the first passion I had when I got interested in video arcades through the old 80s games. I used to visit the arcades a lot, and I developed a passion, which I still have, for video arcade games. This comes in at number 10. Now, you'll be probably looking at it thinking, what the hell is it? Well, I used this as a representative of the genre of shoot 'em ups or shmups, as they've come to be known. And this particular one is Super Raiden. Now, Raiden's a series that's had quite a few games. There's been at least 6 or 7 different Raiden games, and it's a series that I really love. So I've used this to represent the shoot 'em up genre, and this one in particular, because a lot of you might not be familiar with this particular type of game. It's actually a CD-ROM, Super CD-ROM for the PC Engine, which was a Japanese machine. Never came out over here. It got a release in America as the TurboGrafx, but it never made it to these shores, and didn't do very well in America either. But in Japan, it was big. And basically, what this was, there was a CD add-on that you could get for the PC Engine, and it played these Super CD-ROMs. Now, I must admit, I particularly like these. And these are quite rare now. You go onto eBay, and a lot of these old shmups, £100 plus. So yeah, I mean that's one of my favourite genres, and that's why I've gone first with it, in actual fact. Now, number 9, I've picked BioShock Infinite. This is the PC version, by the way. It's the reverse cover of the PC version, in case some of you have played it and not recognised it. Now, when I thought about how to do a top 10 on video games, I thought, how do I do it, graphically, gameplay-wise? And then I thought, well, maybe one of the best ways to reach an agreement on a top 10 would be to throw in a few games that I've actually finished, because I'm being a collector, I buy a lot of games, but I don't finish many. I start them and get bored halfway through because I've got another pile to go through. But with this particular one, I actually got to the last level and failed. But it's a game that I really enjoyed. I mean, graphically, I played it on the PS3, although this is the PC version I'm showing you. And I thought it was a classic example of why the PS4 was a bit premature, because graphically and gameplay-wise, this was excellent. It came, towards the back end of the PS3's life. And I wonder, why do you need a new machine when you've got such great games as this? And as I say, I nearly finished it, not quite. I'll have to go back to it one day and try and finish it. I've still got the save somewhere. But as I say, this is another genre that I like, first-person shooter. And I'm sure a few of you out there have played it, so you know just how good that is. Right. By the way, these outside the top 3, these 4 to 10 are in no particular order. So I've just picked them at random. Right now, the other genre which I've got a big passion for is racing games. Not so much the old on the old machines, because they were a bit. For want of a better word, lacking in gameplay, a lot of the racing games, But as soon as 3D, the new breed of consoles came in that did 3D, I became very, very impassioned with racing games. And the Forza series is one of my favourites. I mean, I still play it, even though, as many of you know, I'm a big Destiny fan, and I play that almost every day. I do sometimes take some time out to play Forza games. Now, I've picked this one. It's a bit of an oddity, this one, and a lot of you will be wondering why I picked it. Forza 5. It was like a stopgap between the Xbox 360 Forza 4 and Forza 6, which was a much more fleshed out version of this. But I picked this one because I really like it. I mean, graphically, I think it's one of the best of the Forza games, personally, just my opinion. And I mean, I like the format, not so much the Forza Horizon game. I still play them, but I prefer the Forza, the ordinary version of Forza, because I like the way the races are set out and the way you can progress and build up your car collection. So yeah, I mean, Forza, as always, I've played Forza from the very start. When it first came out, and so I'm very, very, very impressed with the Forza game. So that's why it's in my top 10 and always will be. Right, now here's a strange one for you. Myst. Now, a lot of people who play a lot of PC games now, they kind of poke fun at this a little bit. But I believe I'm right in saying that, I don't know if it still is, but it was one of the biggest selling games on PC at one time. And I mean, basically, it's a point and click. But there was something about this game that drew me in. It was the atmosphere, the graphics, and I finished it. So that was a big plus factor. But in actual fact, I didn't play it on the PC. I played it on the old 3DO machine, which might be another machine. I haven't actually got my 3DO copy. I recently, a while back, I bought another 3DO because I got rid of mine, and I never got the Myst game back. But I have got the PC version that I can illustrate the game with, And yeah, it was just a game that I found to be very atmospheric and interesting, and I really enjoyed it. So, I mean, that's why it would always be in my top 10, even though it is a bit old in the tooth now, and even though it is a point and click game, basically. Okay, now, I could not do a top 10 without this one. Alice the Madness Returns. Now, I'm not a great fan of platforming games, but I just decided to play this. I don't know whether it was a video I'd seen or an advert I'd seen, but I found this to be an excellent platforming game. I finished it. Didn't finish it. I finished it around 68%. That's 68% of things collected during the game. So I should go back and get to 100 because I enjoyed it. But I must admit, I don't play a lot of PS3 games these days. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of an anomaly, this one, but I found it to be a really excellent game, and the fact that I finished it means, it deserves a place in my top 10. Okay, now we'll just go back into antiquity, way beyond Myst. Quake. Now, way back in the day, early 90s, so I get a bit hazy on dates sometimes, there was a game called Doom, which you'll all be familiar with, and I loved that. It was kind of the first person shooter that really garnered a massive following and a big audience, and graphically at the time it was pretty hot stuff. And then came this, which was an update to Zoom by the same company, and I mean it was chalk and cheese really. I mean the graphics were brilliant, and the speed of it, and it was probably the first person shooter game I played where I really felt involved, and the as I say, the graphics and the villains you were shooting were all rendered beautifully. Now, this is ridiculous. This is, not the easiest game in the world to find, especially boxed. A lot of old PC games, you can buy them, but they just come in the jewel case. A lot of them have long since lost the boxes. But I actually found this in mint condition in Kex for 50p, believe it or not. And, I couldn't believe that. I had to have it. So, yeah, I mean, that's an example of an old game that for me has stood the test of time. Of course, there have been modern iterations of it. But none of them have had the charm of the original PC game way back. Now, where are we? We're at number 4 now. Having told you I'm a fan of racing games, I couldn't let a top 10 pass without mentioning Mario Kart. From its very first appearance on the Super Nintendo, the old SNES, way back in the day, it's been a big favourite of mine, and although a lot of people still swear by the very first SNES version, I'm not such a big fan of that because it's kind of flat. But a lot of people will still tell it's the best version. Personally, this is my favourite, the Wii U, because they pulled out all the Wii U version. They pulled out all the stops with this one, and the tracks just look brilliant. I mean, it's been a big bugbear of mine that they've never actually done a port to any of the consoles of the arcade machine, Mario Kart GP, which they've still got a copy of in my local arcade. And I mean, this just knocked it out of the park with the graphics and the track design. Just a great game, and I played this quite a lot. Never. Well, is it possible to finish this sort of game? It's a game that you just keep coming back to. But yeah, I really, really I've loved most of the Mario Kart games. It's been the odd one that maybe been a bit iffy, but yeah, this to me is the bee's knees when it comes to the Mario Kart games. So, I mean, I dare say there's a lot in there that people will say, what? Top 10 material? But, you know, it's my top 10, so I'm entitled to pick the games that have appealed to me over the years. I mean, there's many games I could have put in here, but the fact that I haven't finished them and the fact that I've finished most of these or played them a lot merits their inclusion, in my opinion. And so we come to top 3. Okay, now, when it comes to shoot 'em ups, I've never seen anything to better this. It appeared on the, as you can see there, appeared on the Jaguar, which is another console that wasn't very popular. So I seem to pick all the consoles that are not too popular, but I mean, I've got a different view about the popularity of different consoles. But anyway, Tempest 2000. It's basically just an update of the original Tempest game, which is I don't know how you describe it. It's not a traditional shooter. It's more you're shooting down these tubes. You know, any of you that know the game will know what I'm talking about. And this was an update by Jeff Minter with just trippy graphics and brilliant music. And I mean, I don't know. Before I started with the current gen stuff, I just poured hours into this game. I don't know how many levels it's got. I mean, I never got to some of the later levels because it's like most arcade games, it's pretty tricky. But I got well past halfway, and this was actually one of the games that was featured at a local exhibition I went to on retro consoles. And I had a bash at this, and I didn't do too bad. Actually, everybody was saying, "Who's that old bloke? He can play Tempest." And yeah, I mean, I did okay with it, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, if it weren't for the two games I'm going to show you, this would be my number one any day of the week. But you know, as I say, there's a couple of games that unfortunately surpass it in my eyes. But as I say, unfortunately, a lot of people won't get a chance to play it because not many people have got a Jaguar these days. Although there are ports of it on the PS1, PC, but none of them as good as this. I should say. Now, number 2, that would be Ridge Racer. Now, once again, if it wasn't for my number 1 pick, you know, this would kind of just beat out Tempest and be my number 1 any day of the week. Because there's I mean, I've probably mentioned it before, but I'll just briefly give you a history of this game again. This was one of the first games on the Japanese PlayStation 1 when it came out over there a good few months before we got it. And I actually went round somebody's house who sold video games from his house. And I went in one day and this was on the telly. What is that? I mean, before this, I'd never seen a 3D racing game that looked so much like an arcade game of the period. And I was just absolutely stunned by this. So, I mean, I looked up the prices of the Japanese machines. They were about 350 quid at the time. This was going for about, I don't know, 80 to 100 quid, depending on where you went, being the Japanese version, and no other versions were available. And I decided I've got to have one. So I went a bit mad and got a loan or something, busted the bank, and actually found the only PS1 in the area where I live, Newcastle, in the north of England, and it was a Virgin Superstore. Shows you how long ago that is. and they had one that had been playing in the shop 24/7, And I said, well, do I get a discount on this? No. 350 quid, please. And I said, well, can you throw in the Ridge Racer game with it? No, that'll be 80 quid, please. Anyway, I didn't pay the 80. I bought the machine, didn't pay the 80 quid for the game because I knew the chap whose house I'd previously seen the thing running in had a second-hand copy, so I frantically phoned him up. Still got a copy? Yeah. How much second-hand? 30 quid. Yeah, keep it for me. Rushed round and got it, and I mean, I was in heaven for the next month just playing this. And I mean, of all the games I've got, all the retro games I've got, if the retro police came round tomorrow and said, look, mate, we're taking all your stuff away, you can keep one thing, that'd be it. That'd keep that. It's not worth anything. I mean, you can buy it on eBay, the Japanese version, for 20 quid, which is less than I paid for it at the time. But yeah, I mean, it was just one of the, I mean, you'll know what I'm talking about, any of you that play games. It was just one of those ping moments when I saw it and I thought, wow. I was just absolutely gobsmacked, and I'm sure some of you have had that particular moment, and it's just a retro gem as far as I'm concerned. And so we come to number one, and you'll know what it's going to be, don't you? This is the very latest. Now I've been playing Destiny for 4 years now, 4 years and more, since it first came out in September 2015. Yeah, 2014. Anyway, whatever. I've been playing it for 4 years and a bit, and I dread to think how many hours I put into this. I've probably wasted months, in real time, playing this game, and I can't explain why. It's just one of those games that I got into, collecting guns. I love collecting stuff in games, collecting guns and the FPS gameplay, playing with other people, against other people. I mean, I don't have any friends that play the game, but you can be teamed up with other people in the game. It's not it's not as much fun, I suppose, as playing with your mates. But I'm Johnny No Mates, so I haven't got any. But I mean, I don't know, this game is just it's heaven for me. It's a hobby. It's not a game. It's a hobby. So there could be no other number one game for me because of the time I've sunk into it, the money I've sunk into it. Because there's been quite a few versions, DLC packs and what have you, to buy online. I mean, I've sunk a few bob into it, and then there's microtransactions, which being a fan of the game, I'm falling for. But that's what you do when you love a game so much. So yeah, that's my number one game. Always will be. I can't see anything beating that out in the not too distant future. So that's my top 10 of video games. Whether you disagree or agree, please send me a comment. I have picked out 3 more as honourable mentions. I couldn't not mention Gran Turismo because that's a quality racer, has been ever since the first game on PS1, and I've played it quite a lot. Didn't quite make the cut for the top 10, but yeah, it's 10.5. This one, you might be looking at it thinking, what the heck's that? It's a first-person shooter for the PC, as you can see up there. It's, I don't know, there's just something about this game. I've played it a lot. It's got the graphics, I love the graphics in it. It's got like a cyberpunky feel to it. And the missions are straightforward. You don't have to worry about the old brain matter when you're starting out on a mission. And yeah, I mean, I just found it to be a lot of fun, and I've sunk, to say, prior to Destiny, I sunk a few hours into this. I think it was when I first got a laptop. Plays all right on a laptop, actually. I sunk a few hours into it, and I really enjoyed it. So, I'm quite happy to give that an honourable mention because, a lot of you, A, probably never heard of it, and B, thought, well, is there any new FPSs I could try? And I would, this cheap. I mean, you can buy it on PS4, PSN, dirt cheap. So give it a go. And then another genre that I quite like is the old fighting games. And that's the one for me. A lot of people, Street Fighter, love it. Tekken, they love it. Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, but this is the game for me. I played, we're up to 5 now. I've played them all. It's the reason I bought a Dreamcast, a Japanese Dreamcast, because I saw it running in the shop. The first Soul Calibur, I thought, it was almost another Ridge Racer moment. Wow, the graphics on that, and it's an arcade conversion. But yeah, I've played them all. I haven't got the latest one yet, but I will be picking that one up and try and get a bit of time to play it. But yeah, Soul Calibur deserves an honourable mention. Okay, folks, well, a couple of things before I go. Thanks for watching again. I've got another couple in the pipeline. As I say, hopefully within the next week or two, I'm going to do pickups for December and January. Well, obviously I've got a lot of stuff at Christmas. Got a lot of stuff for my birthday in January, so it'll be quite a long video, that one, because I've picked up a heck of a lot. And then I'm going to do a Destiny pickups video, because I've got a lot of Destiny stuff for both Christmas and my birthday. So I'll be doing a video for all you Destiny fans out there. And finally, do keep the subscriptions rolling in, because we're into the 900s now, or somewhere around the 910. So I'm really very pumped up to get that 1,000 subscriptions, which I'll be overly delighted with. As I say, I'm not about flogging myself, on Facebook and what have you. But with that in mind, for me to get 1,000 subscriptions would be a big landmark. So please, if you haven't subscribed, do so, and I will see you next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye bye now.